Hey everybody, this is Coach Santos. We're going to start here soon. Please let me know if you can hear my voice in the chat. Thank you. Hey everybody, it's Coach Santos. We're going to start here soon. Please let me know if you can hear my voice in the chat. Thank you. All right, getting ready for the stream. Hey everybody that's watching, let me know you're there in the chat room tonight. Sorry for the late delay. Hey everybody that's watching, let me know you're there in the chat room tonight. Can you still hear an echo? Sorry for the late delay. We're trying to get everything worked out here. There's always these little glitches that pop up. Thank you for your patience. We're trying to get everything worked out here. There's always these little glitches that pop up. Hey, Paul, how's it going? What's up? I'm glad you were able to make it tonight. Everybody have a nice week. Hey, Paul, how's it going? Well, nice weekend. What's up? You know, it's Valentine's Day, so we're just trying to figure out, like, I don't know, what do you guys do on Valentine's Day? You get to stay home. Have a nice week. I don't think we could do anything with such a young little girl right now. My daughter Penelope, she's 17 months, so we're just kind of still keeping at home for now, trying to get a babysitter. So if you know a babysitter, you let me know, and then I can maybe get out and do other things too. Okay. Is the echo bad? If it's bad, I will try to adjust it here. Try going to your dashboard and relighting into Twitch. We'll start here in just a minute here. I just want to make sure that everything is good. Am I echoing bad? We'll start here in just a minute. Okay, I'll try to work on the echo, and please just bear with me, and I'll do my best for you guys. I purchased a brand new laptop this week, so I got a faster computer that can handle all this awesomeness that I'm about to get started with. All right, so in our this is new, that a new thing I'm trying to do we're trying to do chess in Texas, and this is going to reach all over Texas and hopefully beyond here. Houston is where we're at right now. We're doing our recordings, and I have some friends in San Antonio, I have some friends in Dallas, I have family all over too in Austin, and I hope you guys are watching tonight. We are going to start a new series, and there's other grandmasters out there right now that are twitching, and these guys are grandmasters, of course, and they're playing anybody who will play them. But I'm going to try to do something different in this stream. I'm going to try to coach beginners and intermediate players and getting them to be on a really good competitive level, because I think that's where we're all at in chess. Some of us are brand new, and some of us are still trying to learn how to get better at chess. So this is for you guys, and I have there's many ways to get better at chess, but watching chess, what you're doing right now, is a really helpful thing to start doing if you're going to try to better your chess. So without further ado, I'm going to be giving you guys chess puzzles to warm your brains up here, and talk to me in the chat. I'll take a look and at your responses and what it is that where you're going. And so as a coach, I'll try to steer you into the right direction, or I'll get you right on path to where we're supposed to be. All right, so a lot of things that my students ask me is, how can I get better at chess? And the very first thing that I tell them is just doing chess puzzles, chess tactics, doing checkmate puzzles. Excuse me. That helps people get better at chess very, very, very quickly. And so I have an example of a puzzle right here, and I start off doing lessons here with just a few pieces on the board here, not too many pieces at this time, because if I have more, it could get a lot more complicated. But just by studying this position too, we have a king and pawns, and these king and pawn games are in games because we don't have the other pieces. But as we're looking at this, it can get very complicated if we don't know what we're doing here. Now, white has two pawns, and with his two pawn advantage, he's trying to promote one of his pawns to become a queen, and black is doing the same thing. Now, we're coming to a pretty common in-game idea, is that we're using that in-game strategy to promote a pawn. And as you're looking at this, white's trying to promote by using one of his pawns, the H pawn, to go all the way down the board, and this black is also trying to beat him to the punch. So in 2 turns, black can go down to A2 and then A1, and then he makes a queen. So white is looking at his position. He's like, well, my pawns are not that far down the board, and the king's trying to defend on both sides of the board. But the threat right now is black is about to make that pawn into a queen. So white needs to turn his attention and saying, okay, even though I want to promote a pawn, I need to stop that enemy pawn very quickly. And this is what we call in chess the pawn box. The pawn is at A3, and so he needs just 2 steps, and then he becomes a queen. But white can get into this pawn box by coming into that pawn box where that pawn is either at A3, and try to picture that pawn at C3, and then another pawn at C1, and lastly that pawn at A1. That would make a pawn box, because he's going 2 forward, 2 to the side, or 2 diagonal. Take a moment, try to imagine that, and you can actually see that pawn box. So if the white king can get into that pawn box, then he can stop that pawn. Alright, hey, I found some students jumping into the chat, and nice to have you with us this evening. I'm glad you're able to make it. These lessons are for you. And so I don't have to do this at Chess Club. So thank you for stopping in. Let's see here. So we got to start off by moving the king in to the pawn box, and then we can be able to stop that pawn, and then we'll use our 2 pawns to actually make a queen. Now we're on the next puzzle, and as we're on this next puzzle, we are trying to do the same thing. We're trying to promote one of our pawns to the other side of the board, and we got to do this successfully. Black, on the other hand, he's trying to stop us from making the queen, so he's got to get to that queening square. That queening square is h8. So Black's trying to rush his king over so that he can stop that pawn. If he can get onto that square h8, the theory says, or should be, that Black should be able to make a draw with correct play. White also is trying to, again, usher in that pawn, and he wants to make sure that he's doing a good job with this. So people in the chat, what I need to hear from you is, how do we begin this pawn march up the board here? We need to move our king. We can move him to h4, we can move him to g4, or to g3. Let me give you guys a moment to respond by typing into the chat what would be the move to make for White. Okay, I got a king g4. Anybody else? Let me give you guys a moment to respond by typing into the chat what would be the move to make. I think king g4 is on the right track, as what we're trying to do is that we're trying to create this force field kind of wall that will stop the king, the enemy king, from ever trying to reach our h4 pawn. Okay, I got a king to h4. If we do king to h4, that can also work as well too, as long as we're both trying to race to the h8 square. Whoever can control that square will make either a draw or will make a win. So one of the things that I'm going to do is, yes, I want to go to king to g4. So if you got king g4, great. If king h4 will also work too. However, again, I'm trying to create this wall against this king. Now the king is moving closer to the h8 square, so I'm also going to keep up with this king by going king to f5. Now we're blocking here. Let's pause for just a moment here, take a look at this position here. It's getting to be a real critical moment, and as we are getting closer and closer to that h8 square. Do we start pushing the pawn? Pawn to h4? Do we go king to f6? Do we go king to g6? Do we go back to king to g5? In the chat, let me give you guys some more time. Take a look at this position here. Put in your answer here. What kind of move would you make here? Do we start pushing the pawn? Pawn to h4? Do we go king? These pauses are my coffee breaks. Do we go king to g6? Do we go back to king to g5? In the chat, let me give you guys some more time. Take a look at this position here. Put in your answer. Okay, I got a king to king to f6. Got a king to g6. These pauses are my coffee breaks. Good looking moves, guys. Good looking moves. All right. I got a king to g6, another king to f6. So let's continue on king to f6. We're going to make this pawn wall, and to make that king's life a little bit harder. And we can go back and forth, back and forth. And let's see here, king goes to f7, and then king goes to d6. We've successfully made this nice little bubble, safe bubble, for our pawn to start going. Now it's a good time to start marching this pawn down the board, and the king will not be able to get to our pawn. We can go back and forth. Okay, moving on, we're going to go to our last tactic problem of the day, and Here again, we're in an in-game situation. We have a king and a queen versus a king and a pawn who's about to become a brand new queen. So we got to stop this king from promoting that pawn, and there are a few ways of doing this. We may be able to stop him, and we may be able to also get a checkmate here too. So what I need to hear from you guys in this starting position, this is a tough one. I'm here to challenge you guys. So in the chat, message to me again. What kind of move should white be trying to play? Let me give you, like I said, a few moments here to assess and judge the position here. Try to figure out your strongest looking move, and then we'll give you guys the answer here. So in the chat, message to me again. What kind of move should white be trying to play? Let me give you, like I said, a few moments here. Okay, I got a queen to b8. Judge the position here. Try to figure out your strongest looking move, and then we'll give you guys the answer here. I got family in the chat room tonight. Yay, and we're glad you made it. Another queen to b8 check. All right. Well, let's take a look at queen to b8. Queen to b8 with this check. What we're going to do is that we are going to be making moves, or we want to be making moves that really are forcing. And so I've told my students before too, forcing moves like checks are going to stop the king from promoting the pawn forward to a1. And what we'll be able to do is that we'll try to continue to find other checks that will put us into a good position here. So yes, let's roll with king to b8. As we do king to b8, we have other moves here. We have to look at what if the king goes to a1. We also got to look at what happens if the king goes to c2 or king to c1. We need to be able to try to figure out, as again we're looking at forcing moves, where is this king forced to move to? And then we begin to start calculating out those variations. But that's another chess lesson that I'll do at another time. Let's roll with king to b8, and the king moves over to c2. Okay, I also have to be very, very careful, because if I don't continue putting some pressure on black with some checks and these forcing moves, what's going to happen is that he's going to promote that pawn. He's got a queen, I got a queen. It could be a draw, or it could get pretty ugly after that. So let's go to this move right here. If the king goes to a1, sitting there in the corner, we have to be careful with this, because this is a stalemating tactic. The stalemating idea is that he hides in the corner, and we can move a king like to c3, and if we go king to c3, getting closer, what's going to happen is that black doesn't have any moves. If he doesn't have any moves to make, this is a stalemate. So we got to be careful here. What kind of moves should we make? Let's take a look at the chat room here. We don't want to stalemate him. We got to give him some room. But where do we need to go? Getting closer, what's going to happen is that black doesn't have any moves. If he doesn't have any moves to make, this is a stalemate. My tip, I don't want to give. What kind of moves should we make? Let's take a look at the chat room. I don't want to move my king, because if I move my king, it'll definitely be a stalemate. I need to move my queen somewhere. But where do we need to go? My tip, I don't want to give. I don't want to move my king, because if I move my king, it'll definitely be a stalemate. I need to move my queen somewhere. All right. Anybody in the chat? Queen goes to h2. Yeah. Yeah, let's keep that queen to h2. If we go queen to e5, what's going to happen is that he's going to be able to still move over king to b1, and he's got that threat of moving again that pawn forward to a1. If only of our king wasn't in the way. Let's see here. Who's got it? Vinda Bisto, 99. Queen to e5. Okay. Yeah, I mean it is a move. We're not checking him, but I like this queen to h2 move here because it traps the king from moving anywhere else. So he's going to go to b1, and that's something that we should be calculating out. And then his next move that black gets to try to do is going to pawn to a1. So this is the correct direction that we want to be heading into, because we can sneak in a good move here. We don't want to keep our king sitting there on d4. If we go king to d4 and just leave him there, when he promotes that pawn into a queen, he's going to check us. So what we're going to need to do is that we're going to use our king maybe to a different square. Maybe do we need to look for a check? I need some answers from the people in the chat room here. Let's take a look here. What are we going to do here? Okay, I got king d3. King d3. Let's do it. All right, after king d3, he does get a chance to promote the pawn, but let's take a look at what happens going back to this position here. If the king goes to c2, take a look here. What are we going to do? Can we continue on the same path with queen to h2? Let me know what you think here. Can we go queen to h2, or should we go somewhere else here if he goes to c2? Because this is another variation, a different way that we needed to look at. Can we continue on the same path with queen to h2? Let me know what you think. Here, can we go? I hope these puzzles tonight are pushing your brain to try to figure this out. You're always in this winning kind of position in most of my puzzles that I'm showing you to fight, and that's what my chess coach has told me too. He's another strong master, and he's telling me, you know what, you gotta fight in the beginning, you gotta fight in the middle game, you gotta fight in the end game. And so we gotta have that fighting spirit of looking at what we need to do here. All right, queen c8, and from the chat, that would check the king, and probably he may go back connecting to his corner. Let's look for another answer here besides queen to c8. Come on, I know you guys are there. Don't be shy. I'm putting myself out here too. Don't want to mess this up as a coach. Check that miserable king, queen c8. All right. You guys are pretty aggressive here tonight here with the checks. Yes. Don't be shy. How about queen h2? Does that still not look good? Because I think it still forces him, right? Check that miserable king, queen c8. All right, if we do queen c8, chat. All right. If we do queen c8, you guys are pretty aggressive. It is a good move because we're checking him and we're making him wiggle around here. But one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stop that pawn, or I am trying to bring my queen in closer for a checkmate. There's your tip. We're trying to look for a way to checkmate this king because he's running out of squares there on that side of the board. But one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stop that pawn, or I am trying to bring my queen in closer for a checkmate. Let's do it. Let's do queen to h2. Queen h2 check. Okay, now the king goes down to b1, and we are in that same similar position that we had not that long ago in our other variation. So in that variation, what should we do again here as we're getting closer and closer to this king? Let's see here. Queen to c3. Maybe not queen c3 in this position. That would be illegal.
So, in that variation, what should we do again here as we're getting closer and closer to this king? Let's see here. Queen to c3. Maybe not queen.
Somebody had a king to d3. There you go. Okay, so we go king to d3. Black does get a chance to promote his queen. But we've set up a trap, a really nasty trap for him, where we can do a checkmate in one move. Like this. One thing we had to do is get that king off of that diagonal, that a1 to h8 diagonal. And now we're set up for a checkmate. Scream it out in the chat. I want you to tell me that checkmate. Tell me that resign. Yes, black should resign. But you know, people are going to be like that, and they want to be checkmated. So until we're able to checkmate them, then we can do it. Queen to c2, very good. You've been practicing your checkmates. Awesome. All right, queen to c2. That's enough. That's enough of this of these puzzles here. We'll save this one for next time. What I want to do with you guys now is I want to open up our chess base. I want to show you guys a game tonight. This is a really cool game, and if you are again brand new to chess, what we're going to do next is we look over games, and we try to look over master games and what should be some good moves, what should be some bad moves. I'm looking for some ideas when I'm playing chess and trying to expand on my opening repertoire. Show me something, coach. So what we're going to do tonight here is that we're going to take a look at a king's pawn game. A king's pawn game is a game that starts off with the king's pawn like this. When is the next tournament? Let's see here. When the next tournament in Texas, we got a few of them coming up. The tournaments, let's see here. Here in Houston, there is one on Saturday, but that one is closed. They have too many people in that tournament right now. The Refinery does one here in Houston as well. I like those guys that go there. I know quite a few of them. But we're gonna go to a tournament page here, and I'll show you all the upcoming ones. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but let's go back to this game here. One way to play against the king's pawn is to play the move c5. Now, the king's pawn game is controlling the center in these important squares, and our Sicilian move here, our pawn to c5, is a move that will be attacking the center as well. So this is a fighting kind of opening, and I play this from time to time. I mean, you got to catch me on a really good day if I'm playing on the black side of this chess opening, because as I tell my students, this is can be very, very complicated in chess, and so it requires you doing a lot of tactics for one. And if you're not practicing your tactics, you might get beat in this pretty often. And so you got to pick your openings very carefully, and as you are playing chess here. But this is a very good way to play chess against the king's pawn game, is putting a pawn here on c5 to attack that center. So the way that this opening goes is white is going to develop his pieces, usually knights before bishops is the rule. And as we go knight to f3, we're developing our knights, and we're getting ready to battle for this square right here on d4. We're also occupying and trying to control e5 here. And so nobody's contesting the knight from doing that. Now, there are many ways to play with black and the Sicilian, and so the way that this master is choosing to play it is with knight c6. That way he's got 2 attackers in the middle, and right now only the white knight is trying to defend that square. So he's going to need some more helpers to attack that square. So let's see here. As we are playing through this opening, I want you guys to try to guess the master's move, okay? So let's see here. You're playing at the white pieces here. What kind of move would you guys be making here? Give me some ideas here on what would be a good move, and I'll let you know where you guys are going with this. Some of you guys have played this opening before. Some of you guys are brand new to chess, and that's okay. I just want to know like where your thoughts are. Okay, I see pawn to d4. Pawn to d4 is one of those moves here in this opening that is very common, and this opens up the chessboard here. I've played d4 before a lot of times in my chess games, and it invites a really like explosive, center attacking kind of game. It's very exciting. Again, you have to be really sharp on your tactics to try to play this way. But Magnus Carlsen, the world champion, will play that way as well. He also has a different way of playing too, and Caruana was the challenger from America, this World Chess Championship, and these guys were playing this chess opening, but in a different way here. They weren't playing d4; they were playing a different opening here. Bishop to b5, very good. Yes, you could play d4, bishop to b5 here in this chess opening here. You got your knight out there on f3. You can get your bishop out here to b5. Now, I'm going to be honest, I like bishop to b5 a little bit better because, again, it just gets me ready to castle on my very next move. It follows my opening steps. Control that center, develop your pieces. That's the second one. And then the third step that I want to do is to castle my king to safety. I don't have to worry about him getting attacked too early in this game. Okay. Let's see here. Let's move on. Thank you for following me, iDog. Let's see here. Let's go to our next move here. Pawn to d4 is the way to play. And so what happens here is that now again there's a nice fight for the center here. And you want to, as a chess player, always be looking and paying attention to what's happening here in the middle of the board here. We have two whites defending that pawn 2 times. Black is attacking it 2 times. So what we can do as a chess player, we can continue to attack that pawn with some attacking looking moves by black. We can take it and get rid of this center tension that is sitting there at the chessboard. Or again, like I said, we could just develop and continue to keep on attacking and playing chess, and it can get more tense. So the way that I like to play this chess opening is to play moves like for black that will give him a good position to either attack it or just attack it right now. Again, it depends on my mood, on what it is also that I'm trying to play here, because we have different choices for black. How about somebody in the chat room? Give me a way that you like to play this chess opening with black. If you had this position against me with the white pieces, how would you make my life difficult? I think that's the idea of when I'm playing chess too. A lot of the times is I'm trying to create problems for my opponent as I'm playing, and as I'm creating problems, what I want to do is to make him have to use his time to figure out what would be a strong move to play. All right, I got another follower. Texas Party Off Live. Thank you for following me. Let's keep it going here. I'm glad I've got more people from Texas joining us. Let me know where you're from and here in Texas. All right, knight to f6. Knight to f6 is an interesting way to play. It does develop a piece. It does attack that center pawn and causing some immediate problems for white to solve too. That's the idea when I'm playing the Sicilian, or when you're playing the Sicilian. You want to attack that center. And as you're attacking that center right there, you're attacking those two pawns, and you're using all of your pieces to do that attacking. The pawns attacking, the knights attacking, and if you're bringing in more pieces, yes, you're going to be attacking that center. This is called the like a modern style of playing chess, and this is different than what we see with King's Pawn games. In typical King's Pawn games, our pawns will match E pawn to E4. Black goes to E7 to E5, like this. And what happens is that we're playing in a classical way of controlling the center. But when you're playing modern, I'm going to develop and I'm going to be attacking that center instead of trying to forcefully gain control over these 4 center squares. And as I tell my students, if you control that center right there, that sweet golden center of the board, you are going to have a better chess game than the other guy. So now we're really talking about who's going to be controlling more of this in this type of chess opening here. All right, so with knight to f6, again, it is a playable move. But I mean, if you want to play, master style here, you're going to have to make things a little bit more complicated. And I would say we could play a move like e6. We can play d6. Those are awesome moves to make, fun moves. But I would say that the way that world champions want to play is taking that control over that center here after the take. C takes d4. Now we're battling for this. White just lost a pawn, so does he take with the queen or does he take with the knight? Please, I hope that I didn't make that too easy for you. We're going to take with the knight. Knight is going to be attacking the center here. And now I reach a common position here in chess. And this is where things get sticky. Now for black, he's got a lot of choices. Now, the way that I like to play chess is I don't want to give my opponent a lot of choices here when I have the white pieces, but I've stepped into an opening where this kind of play can get pretty crazy right away. Knight to f6. Yes, knight to f6 is a strong playable move. How about some more? Give me another move here. How would you make my life difficult if you had the black pieces here? I've stepped into an opening where this kind of play can get pretty... Give him another knight to f6. Okay. Yes, knight to f6 is very strong, very strong. And you're putting a lot of pressure again on that center pawn right there. White's gonna have to respond very quickly to this. Anybody else? Give him another knight to f6. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this for just a moment here. In younger player chess, I would say, if you're under 1,000, it's tempting to just swap off knight for knight like this. And when I'm as a tournament director and our Houston City tournaments, I see moves like this. I see that young players are very excited to take because they just want to take something. I got his queen, and that's the thing that they want to come tell me. I'm like, well, that's great that you got his queen. All right, Mr. Santos, I got his knight right here. Well, white can take you back and restore the balance in this game here. He's got a queen developed into the center here. He's got also a pawn in the middle of the board, and black looks like he didn't do anything in this chess opening. Now this is the real shocking part here, because white has a command of the center. He's got a developed piece. He's going to get his bishop and his king castled here. Bishop's going to come out. King's going to castle. And white's going to have a really fun, easy kind of game here. All right, I have my cousins that are watching. I'm glad that you're watching tonight. I hope that you get a chance to play some more chess here and do good at your chess club. So I'm going to tell you some secrets tonight on how to play a good game of chess here. But taking early in taking pretty often is something you might not want to be doing here. You really want to develop and to attack here. So let's see here. I see another person here. I'm going back to my position here. Can I play e5 here? Yes, you can play e5 here and to make the knight jump. I have also seen players not always play d5. But let's take a look at the e5 move, because I think that's interesting. That's the way that, again, I see young chess players want to play, because they want to develop and attack this knight right here in the Sicilian. So the knight can move to a different square. He can go to knight to b5. You would have to look at. Knight could also get out of the way. The knight could even retreat and go back to his original square. Those are reasonable choices, but I need to also look at the move of what if he just takes like this right now. Knight takes the other knights here, because it looks like I can take something, so I should take it, right, coach? Well, if you're doing that, you got to watch the way that you're taking too. Am I showing this game tomorrow at the chess club? No, I'm not showing this game. You're watching a different chess lesson tonight here. So let's see here, and it's free. You don't have to pay anything. I know that there's ways that you can gift, you can donate to the Learn by Logic cause here, and we'll be very grateful, and we'll send you a little sticker gift when we can. Okay, so let me see here. Black needs to take back and get that knight back, so he can take both ways here. Let's talk about if we take in this way to open up the center. We have a highway, and this is my highway. The D highway is opened up. Nobody's in the way. No traffic whatsoever here. White can take Black's queen, and put that king in check. So what he's going to do, and of course he's going to take back, but when he takes back that queen, he's going to lose the right to castle. This isn't looking good for Black here, because every move that's coming up next that White has is going to be developing and attacking his weaknesses. Those pawns, those pieces that are not protected. That's what I call weaknesses in chess. You have unprotected pawns, you have unprotected pieces, and you have unprotected kings. Like this king right here. He needs to be checked, okay? And punished for his bad play. So let's go back again to this e5 move right here, because if you are playing on the white side, expect this move maybe from Black, because again, this is an interesting way to play to make him jump. He's going to have to make a choice here, and I would personally move him back to knight to f3 or knight to b3. That's what I like too. But this early taking business is again generally for younger players that I see. They just want to take stuff. So if we take O from or towards the center like this with our B pawn, then our pawn structure is going to look okay. Our bishop looks like he can be able to get out here pretty soon. And we're going to use this D pawn to go forward here for some attacking. So that's some ideas and that Black can do with this pawn structure. But, you know, it's an interesting way to play. And Black should be just fine in this chess opening. Everything looks really, really balanced. Going to use this D pawn to go forward here. Yeah. Okay. So getting messages from headquarters. That's some ideas, and that's Black. So let's move on here. Let's go to back to our original position here, and I don't want to lose people for in our chess opening here. Knight goes to f6. Yes, knight to f6, and we are attacking this pitiful looking pawn here. Another subscriber. Thank you, EE Chess. You are awesome for joining us tonight, and I'm glad you guys are watching tonight. Yay! Go Texas Chess. We got a weak pawn in the middle. Somebody tell me, how are we going to defend this pawn?
Knight to f6, and we are attacking.
Let me give you a moment to look in the chat. All right, I got my brother that's in the chat too.
You are awesome for joining us tonight. And
I got brothers everywhere.
I'm glad you guys are watching tonight. Yay.
Give me some moves here. How are we going to defend this pawn here?
Somebody tell me, how are we going to defend this?
I'm attacking your e4 pawn. You got to defend this guy. How do we do it?
All right, I got my brother that's in the chat too. I got brothers.
Let's go here. Knight c3. Yes. Yes. Develop a piece and we can defend too. Black has some kind of initiative and at this time here. He's attacking, so white has to defend and develop here. And this is the kind of move that we want to be able to make here. Pawn to f3. That's a choice as well. We can defend the pawn that way. E-chess. If we do pawn to e3, what's going to happen here is that we are making our castle position a little bit weak. We have this diagonal that we got to pay attention to because we don't want to get checked by a bishop or a queen, and we want to use our kingside pawns to keep us safe. So what black's idea is. He wants to not move too many of his pawns in front of his king, and so that he doesn't get checked and bothered by that. So knight to c3 is our idea here. And again, what we have now is another typical looking position in the Sicilian defense for black. Black has a lot of different choices here, so I'm going to keep rolling on with our lesson here. He plays pawn to d6, and pawn to d6 is a good way to play this too. I've also played pawn to e5 here. I've played pawn to e6. I played pawn to g6. So all these different choices are available for black. Even I like this particular move, a6 as well. This is a fun way to play. A nice little pawn move, but we are going to move with a purpose as we are developing and getting this this opening ready here. So I got I got my grandma's in the chat room tonight. Yay, grandma, I'm glad you're watching tonight. All right, so we got a simple developing move here, and I need more developing moves for white. We got to keep this attack. We got to keep things going here for white. Tell me in the chat here, what would be your next move here? It doesn't look... white is wanting to push that pawn, but now that d pawn is stopping that, and the knight is also controlling that e5 square here. So let's keep that in mind. We don't want to go there to e5, but we want to find a nice developing move. Let's see here. All right. Oh, I got a Colorado Lita. Yay. Don't forget to follow me, okay? So you know when I'm going to be streaming. Colorado was part of Texas at one time, back in the days of the Republic. I am a Texas history teacher, so if I do go off on a rant, and then you'll know why. Don't forget to follow me, okay? I was like, queen to b6. Queen to b6. Well, we're looking at this position right now for white. Colorado was part of Texas. White. Back in the days of the Republic. What do we do with white? I should be getting some bishop development from you guys. How should I be developing? Well, we're looking at this position right now for white. White. Let's see here. What do we do with white? I need some interesting moves. I should be getting some bishop to b5. Okay, bishop b5 looks interesting. Let me see here. That looks fine. I would play that too. It's really bothersome because when you do bishop to b5, you're creating this pin on the king. That freezes this c6 looking knight right here, and he can't move anywhere. Again, my students, I've been talking to you guys about pins. We have absolute pins like this, if we go bishop to b5, and we have relative pins, which is not with the king. So let's see here.
That freezes this in C6 looking knight right here.
Give me one more move here. I want to hear your thoughts about where we would be trying to develop. We can again do bishop to g5. That's a good b5. Excuse me.
So let's see here.
That's a good looking developing move.
Give me one more move here. I want to hear your
We got to
thoughts
keep this developing, working here, creating problems for our opponents here. And I think bishop to b5 is a really good looking move here. But there's other ones. There's other ones. f3. f3. We're still trying to protect this pawn over here. Apov. What happens here is that if we start moving our pawn forward again, we're loosening up our pawns around our king. I'm so tempted too, as well, you know, as to play that kind of move, but that would work in a different situation. If I was maybe castled on the queen side, I might be wanting to play that. So I don't want to move again these pawns here. Let's keep these pawns locked down for now. Let's see here. Bishop to g5. Yeah, bishop g5. There you go. There's no pin that's going on here, but it just pressures too. So if you did bishop g5, or if you did bishop to b5, those are some really good choices when you're playing chess. So the best looking move, the book move that top grandmasters will play is bishop to g5. It's flexible. It allows black to make some choices on what he wants to do. Now, we can also, when we're doing bishop to g5 here, another reason why I like that is that I am trying to, with the white pieces here, create some kind of flexibility, and to say I could castle on the queen side of the board, or I could castle on the king side of the board, and that would keep my opponent guessing as well on where it is that I'm really wanting to develop. But if I went to bishop to b5 like this, I'm already kind of signaling and showing my cards to black, to saying I'm going to castle on the king side. Now black would want to start shuffling his pieces and his pawns over to the king side of the board, and that could be a problem for me. So the best looking move here that grandmasters really do enjoy playing is going to bishop to g5. Sorry, I got too excited and moved some pieces here. Okay, now we start to get into some really heavy looking theory here, because you have to have known that that was the best looking move, bishop to g5, to play the best. And so you want to get a book on the Sicilian, and you can get them from wholesalechess.com. These are my new friends, and they're helping me out. And maybe you've seen the little icon over there. And anyways, these guys have books on the Sicilian defense, and to tell you how to play this type of chess game and this opening proper. So there are a lot of ways to play here on this this type of opening here. Yes, after bishop to g5, a6 is a good looking move. Later on, we'll take a look at a different game here, and again, I need to try to move a little faster here so we can end on time here. So the way that this game is going in is queen to d2, and then knight goes to d7. After knight to d7, we have the knight retreating back, and it looks like it is a bad move. I mean, it's logical, because black wants to set up his pieces in a different way. He wants to move pawn to g6, and if he does pawn to g6 right here, what happens is that one of the reasons why White has developed his bishop to g5 is that he wants to capture that knight on f6. So if he captures that knight to f6, like this, then black will have to respond by this take with his e-pawn, and now he has doubled pawns. Particularly this pawn right here on f6 could become a target and a weakness here. So if he captures that knight to f6. All right, those workbooks that we have in the chess club, do they have those workbooks on wholesalechess.com? No, they don't have them. Amazon.com has those guys too, so that's another good place to find some inexpensive chess books here. But I like to help out my friends at Wholesale Chess more than Amazon. Anyways, let's go back to the game here. So he would be extremely weak, and this d pawn also is looking weak because the bishop and the queen are going to have to be trying to protect this pawn for the rest of the game until we can try to trade off one of these center pawns. So let's continue on. We're going to castle after this. Bishop goes to g7, and then when the knight starts taking, the pawn starts taking, and then we have two attackers on this pawn right here, and there's only one backup buddy on this d pawn here. So that's logic is telling him that if he goes to back, if he goes g6 right now, he's going to start having an awful looking position here. So he doesn't want to do that. Instead, he wants to play knight to d7 first, so he doesn't get double pawns. And you just have to know when getting double pawns is a good idea and when it's a bad idea. Keep coming back to my stream on Tuesday nights, and I'll be teaching you guys more about how to deal with double pawns too in other lessons here. So white again sees that this is kind of a bit of a mistake here, and so what he's going to do is that he's going to just develop his bishop here, his last and final piece, bishop to e2, and now his bishop of course can go to both sides of the board depending on what black is going to do. And also he has stayed flexible by being able to castle on either side of the board. This is an awesome way to play chess here. You're keeping your opponent guessing on what side of the board he needs to be looking at the whole time. Okay, so as you're looking at and studying this position here, again, you're trying to figure out what's black's next idea here. Pawn to g6, and after pawn to g6, now we're getting into, we know that probably on his very next move, the bishop wants to come here along this long diagonal to attack this knight. We know that our black knight is also attacking that knight here, so that would be two attackers there on that center square. And there's only one backup buddy on this knight. Continue to be practicing this idea, everybody, that you are looking for attackers versus defenders, and when you're playing chess, this will help you to be able to find good moves when you're playing chess. Let's see here. Okay, moving on. Let's go with well, I want to hear from you and people in the chat here. What should we do if we see this idea coming? Let me give you some choices here. Let me give to you three good choices here. You can choose to develop the knight. You can choose to castle on the queen side of the board. Or we could bring our bishop back to e3 and defend the knight. I need to hear from you. What would you guys be doing? You got three good choices here, but I'm not going to give you the answer here. I'm not that kind of teacher. I'm not that kind of coach. Or we could bring our bishop back to e3. Let's take some time. Let's take some time. I'm running out of coffee. I need to hear from you. What would you guys be doing? I had baleadas for dinner tonight. If you ever had a baleada, let me know in the chat. And my wife makes the best. And you missed out tonight. Okay, ooh. Bishop to e3. Okay, I got a bishop to e3. You want to go back and defend it. Okay, I like that idea. Let's see here. Then the Beast Diesel says castle on the queen side. That would be a nice move too. That way you don't have to move any pieces backwards. You can keep your bishop here with a relative pin. That relative pin that white has here is that bishop on G5, excuse me, can keep some X-ray vision on that queen that's sitting there on D8. Black is not going to want to go pawn to E6. White's gonna capture that queen, and that's going to be the end of the game. Apov says knight to D5. Yes, knight to D5 here is going to be our awesome move here. With knight to D5, what I like about this move is that we're getting a piece into the attack. Right now, there's no demand for white to move his bishop back here in retreat. That's kind of the hard thing to do when you're, as a chess player here, you're thinking about being sometimes too defensive about your position here, and you want to keep this bishop where it's active. You want to keep that pin going here. You want to continue to keep giving your opponent problems. And castling would do the same thing, but not. It's a defensive looking move that will defend the knight here. But he's already got a backup buddy, everybody. He's got the queen as the backup buddy. So he's not afraid of anything yet. Black hasn't done any serious looking moves yet. Let's go with... let's see here. Oh, yes. And the outposts are looking pretty good, too. For this knight that's sitting here. Nice sweet in the center with the pawn supporting. Good chess term. Outpost. All right. So, and then E7 is also looking pretty tasty if Black does this goofy looking move here. If he just develops, and to bishop to G7, he is putting two attackers onto this knight, and we do have one backup buddy. Ooh, white has some crushing moves here. I want to know if you can see it. After bishop to G7 here, this is going to set up an early surprise attack. How are you going to deal with this? Ooh, white has some crushing moves here. Give me some talk, chat. After bishop to G7, I haven't heard from you guys in a while. This is going to set up an early surprise attack. How are you going to deal with this? I like that in this position here, and I want you to keep your eye on this pawn here. Japan Andre says you want to be targeting this pawn here on E7 here. You got a knight attacking it. You got a bishop attacking that too. We're just going to have to make some magic happen. I like that in this position. All right, bishop takes E7 now. If we do bishop takes E7 now, let's take a look at this move right here. If he does that, then this isn't looking the best for us. And the knight that's sitting here on C6 can go backwards to take us. And now we're kind of scratching our heads here. What happens here if we just take? He takes back, and oops, we've lost a piece for a pawn that was there on E7. So yeah. We want to, and it looked like it was okay, but you know what? So again, if we're counting our attackers and defenders here, Black had the king, he had the queen, and he had the knight, all defending that E7 pawn. So this means that we cannot move that bishop to e7 right now.
But you know what? So again,
We're going to have to do something different here. Knight takes c6. Thank you, Japandre. Let's see here. If the knight takes, now we're developing and attacking. Not developing, but we're taking and threatening to take his queen. So he's not going to let us do that. He's going to take back. And now the idea still exists here. We just removed a backup buddy. We removed the knight here, and only the king and the queen are now defending this. So why can't we just move on with bishop takes e7? Okay, well, the queen is not going to be the one that's going to be taking this, because then you're just going to lose your queen. And the king would take back, and white is going to have a very nice game after he castles on the queen side. Rook and the queen are going to be hitting on d6, and again, I told you that's kind of like a weak pawn to be targeting in this game here. So yeah, so anyways, the queen is under attack. He's going to look for a place to run to, so queen cannot go there because of the knight. Queen cannot go to b6 because of the knight. Queen is going to try to maybe run over here to a5 like this, but nope. We got that square covered too. We trapped the queen. Good job, Japandre. You did it. Let's now go back to this situation, this early situation here. This is the reason why this common looking developing moves here. This is what I call a logical blunder. This logical blunder is black is playing like he should be. He should be developing his knight, his bishop to the long diagonal to attack the d4 square, and it can catch you off guard in the Sicilian if you're not paying attention to the attackers and defenders in this game. So continue, guys, to count your attackers and defenders when you're playing chess. Alright, so back to this one. After a knight to d5, we know that there's some attacks that white has here. So black tries to stop all the attacks by playing pawn to f6. Again, a logical looking blunder here, because he's trying to gain some time so that he can be able to play bishop to g7 next by attacking this bishop on g5. The bishop is in super duper trouble here, but he's got to figure out where should I be going on the next turn here. So with that idea, let's take a look here and let's give you guys some choices again. I'm going to give you 3 choices and to find the best move for me. So tell me what the best move is in the chat. Let's take a look at bishop can go to e3. That'll be a choice. Let's give another choice of I'm going to give you 3 choices. How about knight to e6? That would be another choice. And let's give another choice of let's maybe take the knight here as a different choice. Okay, people in the chat room, let me hear from you. What would you do? Knight to e6. That would be. You're going to take the knight on c6, attacking his queen. Do you develop your knight to e6 to also attack his queen? Or do you retreat with the bishop going to e3? You're going to take the knight on c6, attacking. Let's see here. Do you develop your knight to e? Ooh, knight to e6. Okay. Also attack his queen. Or do you retreat with the knight to e6? There you go. There you go. If I drop my knight here to e6, I am attacking the queen again, and the queen cannot go to those squares so easily. He can go to a5, and this is the critical moment here, and because he doesn't want to lose his queen. There you go. And he's like, I got a backup buddy here. So if white's queen does take me, then I should be okay. So easily. But white has a different idea.
A5, and this is
when you are on the attack, what you want to do is to keep attacking. And so you're still looking for some very, very strong moves. Let's give you some more moves on here. How can we attack this king here? Just because you see a good move like taking the queen doesn't mean you have to play it. You're trying to always, again, find another move. That's the Emmanuel Lasker. He is the second world champion. He said in his books that when you find a good move, look for a better move. So let me give you some choices here. I see knight to c7, but I don't know which knight you're talking about here. We have two knights that can jump to e7. We have this knight right here. I'm going to flash him for you. Knight that's on e6 can jump to c7 to check the king. Or the d knight right here could also jump to c7 and check the king. Notice that we have two defenders, or two attackers on that square, and black only has his queen to try to cover that square. Tactics are coming around this king because, number one, he's moving too automatically, too methodically in how he's playing chess. So let's do it with the D knight, okay? Now let's take a look first of what happens if we just do it with the E knight. Isn't it the same thing? It's not the same thing exactly, because the king could squeeze out of this by going king to f7, and we're kind of getting a moment here to lose our attack here. And this is going to get, again, pretty dry here. We're knight can't move our knight back there to e6, but we can try a different way. So let's do knight d to c7. Check that miserable king. And well, so what happens if he does run over there to king to f7? Well, this knight and this knight, these guys are both backup buddies, so they make a wonderful team, and they are not going to be moving. And now white has a really good position here. He's ready to continue to keep the hurt coming. I want to point out one really important idea here, and this is, again, why we don't want to play pawn to f6. Japon Andre, doesn't Grandmaster Ben Feingold say never play f6? He says never play f6 because he's really talking about you don't want to create any weaknesses on this diagonal, this a2 g8 diagonal. There's bishops and queens can be placed there for attacks, so keep that in mind as we're playing this. Now white is going to continue the attack. The knight goes to d8. Check that miserable king. And that king is looking and going, where can I safely run to? I can't go here because the knight's attacking the square. I can't go to e6 here because that other pesky knight's also grabbing that square. So my only good moves that I have here is king to g8. That's a good green square, and he can also run king to g7. Okay, well, also the knight takes. What about this knight right here? Can we not get rid of this knight? That put us in check. Let's take a look at it. All right, very quickly. Knight takes d8. As knight takes d8, now we just let go of a backup buddy. Oh my gosh. Quickly scream out in the chat room, what did black forget? He left something undefended here. Give me the quick move. Somebody quick. Now we just let go of a backup buddy.
Oh my gosh.
What did he forget? And this is a common thing that I actually see young chess players do a lot, is that they forget as they are attacking the stuff that they were defending. The queen, yeah, the queen has no backup, buddy. Grab that free queen, and that's the reason why he does not want to be moving and capturing that knight that's on d8. So the king is going to run to g7 here, but this is almost game over. We're still on the attack, and this is another thing that I'm revisiting with my students too, is that when you have the attack, you want to continue to keep the attack going here. So look for checks first, then look for capturing moves, and then we'll look for threatening looking moves. So there should be very few things that we need to be looking at when we're playing this game. We're looking at checks. So the moves that I see for checks are knight can go to e8 and check. Let's see here. We also have bishop to h6, check. And we have this other knight move. Knight goes to e6 to check. So we have some choices for checks on what's going to work best for us. Let's see here. I see bishop to h6. That's a good check. And also I see a knight to e8 check. All right, so fun stuff to do. I like checking with the knight here because this knight needs to join the party. This bishop to h6 check will also work out and close out the game here against the black king. So he's quitting here because his only good looking move here is to go to legal move is to go king to g8, and he quits. He knows that this is game over. How do you make this game over? How can you finish him off? He's done a pretty big king walk. His only good looking move, not a big king walk, but he went right there like this. Horrible, says Grandmaster Nakamura. Horrible. How can you finish him off? He's done a pretty big. Bishop c4. Is that immediate checkmate? Is that what you're telling me? Oh no. It is coming. I'm not gonna lie. He's got some defensive looking moves here. He's got a d5. Okay, after d5, what do? You just stopped your checkmate. Bishop c4. Is that Let's keep it going. Checkmate? Is that what you're telling me? Keep the attack going. Oh no. It is coming. I'm not gonna lie. He's got some defensive looking moves here. He's got think hard. Keep looking for those checks, guys. You have two ways to do check here. You got bishop check and you got queen check here, and you got a lousy knight check here. Work it out. How's it going to go? Think hard. Keep looking for those checks. Yes, Grandmaster Nakamura says horrible on his wonderful chess play. You got a lousy knight check. He finds all kind of weird stuff here. All right, yeah, let's do it. Let's go to bishop takes d5. Bishop takes d5. Check that miserable king. Okay, after he takes with the check, black is saying, okay, can I block this? Yes, you can block this. You can block this with e6, and then we charge forward, okay? Keep the attack coming. All my pieces with white were coming at that king for the checkmate. That's it. He can't go anywhere. Like that. Good job. But wait, he's got one more trick up his sleeve. Instead of blocking with e6, he can do another move here. Let's do bishop is sitting pretty here, so he's got to do. Like that. Good job. But wait, let me give you a moment. Got one more trick up his sleeve. Instead of blocking with e6,
You can do another move here. Let's do bishop.
Yay.
Is,
I'm running out of my chess time. I'm sorry, guys.
Let me give you a moment.
Let's go with come on, you saw this, right? Black really does not want to play this next move. He does not want to play queen takes.
I'm running out of my chess time. I'm sorry, guys.
Queen takes d5. No. Had to give up my queen. No.
Come on, you saw this, right?
See the checkmate in one. Come on, my young chess students. I know you're there in the chat room. You've been doing checkmate in one puzzles. There's a checkmate in one puzzle. Come on, scream it out. I need to know that you're still there doing your checkmate puzzles. Even when I'm not watching you.
See the checkmate in one. Come on, my young chess students. I know you're there in the
Queen takes. There you go. Queen takes d5. You got him. Awesome, awesome. Wait, you still got another move? No, it's not checkmate in one. Life isn't always like that too. We got to be looking again for how is this guy really trying to stop me? But again, the same idea. Checkmate. Gotcha. Holy cow. Holy cow.
You got him. Awesome, awesome.
Oh, excuse me.
Checkmate in one. Life isn't always like that too. We got to be looking
okay. So anyways, that's the end of this game, but there's other games here, but I'm going to go over this very quickly in this game here. Again, we saw a Sicilian. And as we saw the Sicilian, I'm going to remember my spiel about this is that this opening is a very tricky opening for black. So he's got to know what he's doing here, and same thing with white. And as you are playing here, just find those nice, normal, developing moves. Find yourself a chess book over the Sicilian if you're going to be playing this, so you know the ideas before you step into it. Because with natural developing moves, in the Sicilian, it looks all too common that what black was trying to do. And white was also staying flexible on what it is that he really wants to do, castle or develop to attack. And I always go with the developing looking move too. And then black plays this as natural setup here, but he didn't see this knight to d5 move causing so much trouble. And again, another logical looking move here turned into be a game-losing blunder in this game. So we try not to play that move. And going back to this knight to after bishop to e2 looking move here, it's again pretty difficult for black to play here because of white's excellent development. So control that center, develop your pieces, everybody. Get ready to castle. It's a good sign to also stay flexible. You don't have to wait, like white did in this game, to castle on either side. Just worry about more of I'm got to get my pieces developed so I can castle, and I should be having a good time in this game. The problem that black was experiencing is that he was making this little pawn move here with a6 that probably cost him some time here, and also moving the knight back to d7 or moving him over to d7, excuse me, stopped this bishop from coming out to help with any plans that he had. So let's go to this next move here. And let's see here in my game here. How am I doing on time? I got like 5 minutes left on time. Okay, darn it. Next stream that I'll do, I'll have to get some puzzle rush in there. But you know what? Let's do it. Let's just do it. You know, for the audience. So let me know you want to see some puzzle rush right now, and I'll get it pulled up for you.
Let's see here in my game here. How am I doing on time? I got like 5 minutes left on time. Okay, darn it. Next stream that I'm
gonna try. Let me see. How does my Puzzle Rush looking tonight?
But you know what?
Are you awake, Puzzle Rush?
Let's just do it. You know, for the
Not
audience.
awake.
Let me know you want to see some Puzzle Rush right now, and
I'm getting a message from headquarters that we're running out of time. Okay. So let's take a look at the schedule, because we were taking a look at our schedule. I wish my Puzzle Rush was working. I'm sorry, everybody. I'll try again on the next stream to get that up and running. I've had some issues lately. Again, my new computer. Yes, please come in before the weekend, and I can get everything set up here. So our tournament schedule is that we have here in Houston is we have at Riverwood Middle School on February 23rd. That's this Saturday. It's reached its max capacity of 200 students. Now it filled up like 2 weeks ago. You don't see tournaments that small typically. They try to have more than 200 allowing into one space here for these big city tournaments. The Houston Chess Association is run by Mr. Jim Liptrap. You can go visit his website for more tournaments that are showing up. We have also on the 24th, this is Sunday, my grandpa's birthday, and they have some Blitz just for you guys. Blitz Kids at the Energy Corridor. They are in the west part of Houston, and these guys are serious about playing some speed chess. So get your practice up, and with your 5 minute speed chess time controls, and go out and have some fun. Also upcoming in March, we have the Houston Spring Championship at the Chess Refinery. These guys again are in the southwest part of Houston, I believe. And anyways, these guys are the serious guys that are training masters or getting young players to play in stronger tournaments. Visit these guys, and you will definitely be learning more chess here. And then the one that I'm looking forward to is March 8th through the 10th. This is the Dallas Chess Club round tournament for the Texas Scholastic Championship. It's here in Houston in the west area. So go to his website after my stream, and you can get signed up for one of those tournaments here. Thank you so much to our friends at wholesalechess.com. If you need any chess equipment for future tournaments, books, DVDs, CDs, chess sets, fun stuff, go to their website. Use our code LOGIC for 10% off any of your regular purchased items. These guys are fantastic. I've been working, buying things from them for many years as I've been a chess coach, and they have all the best stuff, out there in chess land. Thank you, my friends, for watching tonight. I'm glad that you were able to make it for my stream. We will be doing more chess in the future. On Tuesday evenings from 7:30 to 8:30, and I will see you guys again very soon. Thank you again. Contact me and let me know how I did tonight. And everybody, you guys are awesome for joining me tonight. Enjoy the evening, everybody in Texas. Good night, y'all. Good night. I'm done. That's it. It's my bedtime. I don't know if I can sleep after having all this coffee. Awesome for joining me tonight. Enjoy the evening, everybody in Texas. You're still here? Good night, y'all. Good night. Why are you still here? That's it. It's my bedtime. I don't know if I can sleep after having all this. When's baseball season? I love chess, but I need some baseball. Go to sleep. It's your bedtime.
When's baseball season? I love chess, but I need some baseball.
Adios. I'm toast. Here, take a look at that tournament schedule again. I want some real baseball. I don't want spring training.
Here, take a look at that tournament schedule again.
Why are more people logging on now that I've quit streaming? Tell me why you're still here.
I want some real baseball. I don't want spring training. Why are more people logging on now that I've quit streaming? Tell me why you're still here.
Are the Astros going to be a real team again this year? Oh yes, I'm going to be doing the Lone Star Open. I want to win some money. I hope you don't get to play me.
Are the Astros going to be a real team again this year?
I hate to take your rating points.
Oh yes, I'm going to be doing the Lone Star Open. I want to win some money. I hope you don't get to play me.
Should I do Astro giveaway tickets?
Take your rating points.
I can get Astro tickets and give them away. Say yes, I want Astro tickets. The Mariners.
Should I do Astro giveaway tickets? I can get Astro tickets and give them away. Say yes, I want Astro tickets.
It's about the Rangers, right? Where's my family from Dallas? Where are you guys at? You're a Ranger supporter still, right?
It's about the Rangers, right? Where's my family from Dallas? Where are you guys at? You're a Ranger supporter still, right?
Okay, it's night time. I gotta do my chess practice and reading, and I'm going to bed. Thank you again, family. You guys are awesome. I love you very much. Good night, Grandpa. Good night, Grandma.
Okay, it's night.
Good night, Moon.
I gotta do my chess practice and reading, and I'm going to bed. Thank you again, family. You guys
I know you remember that book. Good night, Moon.
Good night, Grandpa. Good night, Grandma. Good night, Moon.